What's up? Welcome to the channel. Today, starting a new build. 10 foot long, 27 inch wide, walnut butcher block for a client. So that's all there is to say. It's some beautiful walnut and black walnut. And just a quick look at the walnut. Some 14 foot long. We'll be breaking it down into sections. 10 foot, or it's all 10 foot, so I'll be cutting it at 7 foot and 3 foot sections, 10 or 5 foot and 5 foot sections, and 6 foot and 4 foot sections, and then gonna be bringing them all together. So it should be a interesting build, and let's see if this little one-man shop can pull off this monster cutting board ultimately. If you're a woodworker, sorry to interrupt the time lapse, but if you're a woodworker, do yourself a favor and buy some of these mag switches. They are a game changer when it comes to joining boards. It is a feather board that's magnetic. You can turn it on and off, and you can press it up tight, and it just allows me, it's like having another set of hands to run these boards I can't speak, boards through the jointer, and making sure I have a good square edge, and there's no wobble, and I can really focus on it. So get yourself a pair of these. This is not sponsored, but MagSwitch, if you want to sponsor me, I will take it, because I love your product, and I'm gonna probably buy some more soon. That is a bunch of walnut milled. So I still have 2 big boards left that I bought that if I need to break down, I will, but I'd rather see what I got first and not waste those. If I can salvage those and keep them, that'd be awesome. But we will see. But so far, some really, really pretty black walnut, and now it's start to set up the table saw and get to ripping. Something that I do know this, it's like, with kiln dried wood, at times there is a lot of tension built in it, so I'll cut them oversized as well, just so that I have the ability to mill it to get it to its final width and thickness that I need. So yeah, anyways, it's a beautiful Saturday working, living the dream, putting in the work, and about to get back to the time lapse for you. Layout, I mean, this isn't exact. I just wanted to make sure it's gonna work as I piece it together, and it's the right width. I don't have to cut down any more boards, so really happy with that. And now begins the glue up process, which will be a bit, but it's gonna turn out really, really pretty. And I use these little things that I made, just pine 4x4 post I milled down, but man, it just allows me to get a very level surface. and I do a lot of this glue up on the ground. I wish I could do it up higher. I need to make these taller. I just haven't made the time to do it. But overall, it's going to be a really pretty butcher block, 10 foot long and 27 inches wide. So I got the layout how I actually want it. I have a reference board that's 10 foot long that helps me know how long this thing is. And then what I did, just because I really like the spacing, because again, these aren't all just 10 foot long boards. So what I did with the spacing is I like where the butt joints come together of the end grain. And I like how they're kind of laid out. So what I did was, basically I drew reference lines, as you can see. These reference lines, there's one of them, there's another one, and so on. I did that down there so that I know how to line my boards up accordingly to where I get my 10 foot. I measured it a little extra long, and then what I just did on every board is, as you can see, I numbered them. So that is 2, the direction it needs to be pointing, and that's on the, I wrote that down wrong. That should be left, not right. Oh, well, I'll fix it. As you can see, the rest of these, it has, you know, what number it is, and it has a corresponding one, and if it's going to be on the left or the right, and then the direction it's going. So that just allows me to match it up and know, after doing all this work, that when it comes time to glue up, I don't have to do a lot of thinking. I can just keep moving. So that's what I've done so far, and I'm going to get back with the time lapse. So nothing, just making a big 10 foot long cutting board ultimately is what I'm doing. Alright, by the way, one more thing. What I'm doing is I'm practicing this glue up because this is 10 foot long. I'm making sure that I can get all these like butt joints together where they're coming in too. I'm not worried about them coming apart because they'll be just glued everywhere, but I'm making sure I got that really tight. I'm making sure I can get this thing pretty level with these cawls. I just do a practice glue up. It takes a little bit longer, but that way I can assess any of the issues that I'm going to have, and then I can work efficiently, and I've rehearsed it so that when it comes time to start putting the glue up, I'm not panicked because I'm not thrown off by something that I haven't practiced for. So if I were you and you're doing glue ups, always rehearse it, even though it takes a little bit longer. It just ensures that you're not going to screw it up. I still do this, and I've been doing this for a while. I made several of these things, but I just always kind of see how it's going to go to make sure that I'm not going to screw this stuff up, because this wood is expensive, and this is the first of 3 of these little sections I got to glue up, and then I'll glue the whole thing up together. But I do it in parts. That way it's manageable, it's not stressful, and I can get really tight joints by doing small ones at a time, and I can handle these because I can run all these through my planer and then domino the last 3 sections and glue them up really even together. So a little quick tip for you. Let's get back to the timeline. All right, just a little quick break in the midst of the time lapse. Here is this 10-foot walnut butcher block, 27 inches wide. I don't know if I recorded all of it, but I glued it up in 3 sections. So I did a section here, section in the middle, section there, all 9 inches wide. And then I was able to glue those up, run them through the planer, get them to the thickness, and I glued one at a time. And I used dominoes for alignment that way. And so I glued one up, and then I glued one more using cauls. You can see that in the video. But that has seemed to be the best way for getting really good alignment, so that ultimately all I got to do is I use my Lee Nielsen number 4 smoother. And this is my favorite card scraper from Lost Art Press. It is awesome. I love that it's got a little concave, one of those, whatever. You can just see it's not just a square, but it's got a little bit of an arch into it. And man, that just makes card scraping really easy. And so you don't have one of these. It's one of the most underrated tools in a furniture maker's toolbox. Like, I use this all the time. And so anyways, I've got the top side cleaned up as far as like the joint lines go, just cleaning up any glue and then really truing that thing up with a hand plane card scraper. And I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on the bottom. So let's keep going. First coat of oil's on, and this sucker is gorgeous. And gotta put 2 more coats on, and it'll be ready for install on Thursday. So let's keep rolling with the time lapse. So what I do to prep is I come and with butcher block countertops, because I screw them in, I make these little braces that I attach to whatever structure I'm attaching it to, whether it's a cabinet or this is going to be an island. I round over the edges, make sure it's real smooth, no one can get splinters. I countersink the holes so I can drill them in, make sure you make a measurement so you don't drill through and expose that. That'd be awful. But then I make sure I drill big enough holes that when I come in here, what I do is I take a screw with 2 washers. That way, it'll allow for wood movement, and it's got, over a ½ inch to be able to move. And these holes, I don't know if you can tell how big they are, but they're like ½ inch holes. That just allows the wood to move any direction that it needs to, but also keeps it good and fastened, to the structure. This is how I've been doing countertops for a while. I've never had any issues with them, especially because the way that I orient butcher block, it's where you get your really least amount of movement with your quarter saw and grain. So that also helps as well, quarter saw and rift saw. So anyways, that's what I do, and I've had good success with this. The biggest thing is just making sure, flat sawing is different. Flat sawing, you probably even need to make your holes wider. But for quarter saw and butcher block, this ½ inch hole has been plenty big for me to allow for wood movement and the screws to be able to come up through. Make sure you put washers underneath. But yeah, hopefully this helps. And tomorrow I'll have a video of us coming in here, bringing it in and setting it up, and then show you what it looks like when it's all finished. It's in a big, this home is massive, and it is going to be beautiful when it's all finished. All right, so I forgot to time lapse me and the guy putting it on the top, and it is just absolutely gorgeous here in this natural light. I gotta just wipe it down, and I gotta actually attach it screw from the underside. But man, this walnut is just
Unreal how pretty it is. You just can't beat Osmo Pollock's satin finish on this thing. It is just foolproof and absolutely gorgeous. But I'm really pleased with how this big 10-foot long, 27-inch wide secondary island butcher block turned out. So client's coming over soon to look at it. So is the builder, and gonna give them a rundown on how to care for it, and to tell them that if anybody puts anything on it while they're finishing out the rest of the house, to fire that person, because I don't want to mess this thing up. So anyways, let's get back with the time lapse.